You're plugged into Schaumburg Speaks, a podcast highlighting and celebrating local businesses and community in the Schaumburg area.
Hello and welcome to Schaumburg Speaks, where we're plugging into business and community, brought to you by the Schaumburg Business Association and Ian Ryan Interactive. I'm your host, Andrea Biwer, the president of the SBA, and today's episode is all about clarity, coverage, and cutting through the confusion when it comes to health insurance, especially for the small businesses in our area. Whether you're navigating new legislation or just trying to understand when and how to switch plans, today's guest brings knowledge, experience, and heart to the conversation. I'm joined by Tom Connor, principal at U.S. Health Advisors here in Schaumburg. From the soccer field to the insurance field, Tom's journey has been all about strategy, teamwork, and helping people find the right fit, especially when it comes to healthcare coverage. Tom, welcome to Schaumburg Speaks.
Hey, it's great to be here. I am exhausted and stressed, though, this morning.
Why?
Well, I was scheduled to go see Joe Rogan. I canceled that to be here. I prefer to be with you today.
You know, Schaumburg Speaks, Joe Rogan.
Yeah,
I think we went out over that for sure.
I chose you, and I feel like I've been watching you and the podcast group here. I'm very interested, and I feel like it's from the old movie in the 70s, Play Misty for Me, where you're the attractive DJ, and I'm the person who stalks, and so I'm not stalking, but I've enjoyed your work.
Aw, thank you, Tom. I so appreciate it. Well, we enjoy your work here as well. So why don't you give us a little background on you and how you got into the industry and where you are today?
Well, you mentioned soccer. As you can see, there's not much soccer left in me. That's more during the Reagan era where I played soccer. But I grew up in the city. Oh, you're showing
your age now.
That's right. I know. I grew up in the city. I grew up in, I was raised by a single mother in Lincoln Park and in Rogers Park, and in the inner city squalor, and got out, attended St. Ignatius College Prep, which is a Jesuit prep school on Roosevelt Road, right across from UIC. I was admitted to a club, a boys' club. Every boy wants to belong to a club, when they grow up.
Yeah,
and my mom entered me into a place called the Menominee Club, and it was run by an English person named Basil Kane, and he was a soccer fanatic. And he used to take us young boys to the park, and there's many ethnic pockets of people in Chicago, and we used to play with the Latinos and the Serbians, and within about 5 minutes, I was in love with that game. And so I committed my childhood to the game and ended up getting a scholarship at Eastern Illinois University, playing in the Final Four Division I team there.
Wow.
And then graduated from Eastern, and then went on and pursuant to the statistics with the U.S. Census, 67% of all Americans have lived in Schaumburg at one time, and so
that's good fact.
That's right. So I moved to the suburbs and became a teacher and a coach for the first couple of years.
Okay.
So I began coaching and teaching, obviously soccer, and then after a couple of years, I was drawn to the insurance business based on the fact that I had a few friends that were very successful in the business and making twice the money I was as a teacher and a coach.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So I guess we looked at that's fascinating regarding the soccer. I have a very dear friend that grew up in this area too, and her son is Chris Mueller.
Oh.
And he plays for the Chicago Fire now, and that's one of my best friends.
Well, interesting. Chris Mueller and my son were teammates at University of Wisconsin.
That's great.
So Drew was a couple years older than Chris Mueller, and Drew left Wisconsin to play for the Chicago Fire for 4 years. And I think Chris Mueller's still there.
Yeah, Chris is there right now, and I think he was injured, but he's going to be playing again this season.
Yeah, I know his parents, and Drew and Chris were teammates for 2 years at Wisconsin.
That's my best friend.
Very good.
So let's talk about U.S. healthcare. How did you wind up there? And give us a little background for those that aren't familiar, our listeners that aren't familiar with U.S. healthcare.
Well, it's not a very sexy subject, insurance, but I find the story, how it happened and how it manifested in my life fascinating. But I'm biased. I was there in Dallas with my son visiting SMU. We were visiting college campuses, and I was looking for a new opportunity opportunity within this business. And I had heard that a company was starting in Fort Worth, Texas, and I was drawn to and referred to the eventual president of that company. I parked Drew at the hotel, and I took a cab to meet them. And Troy McQuaig, the current CEO, sat down over lunch, and he said, I want to start this new company. I said, starting a startup for health insurance during the Affordable Care Act makes no sense. Right. It's a government initiative taking over the individual and small group market. I don't get the startup. What are you doing? And he said, I read the entire 1,800-page doctrine of the Affordable Care Act, and there's some glaring issues there. The first issue is the middle class is going to be responsible for funding the $2 trillion bill. Secondly, when those middle class people go to healthcare.gov and apply for coverage, their income is going to be too high to receive any subsidy back, any assistance on their health insurance premium. So as a result, they're paying for the full premium.
Right,
and so
expensive.
For the plumber in Palatine and the part-time nurse who combined make, let's say, $100,000 their household income, paying $1,700 a month for Blue Cross Blue Shield is out of the question for most people.
Right.
And so that is his exact niche and thoughts on developing a plan that would serve the middle class that whose income is high enough not to receive the subsidy, and then we're healthy enough to qualify for the plan. That were small businesses, middle-class people that were going to be served. And I thought that was a complete
great idea.
Genius. Yeah. So it's the first time ever that a health insurance plan by a private company was devised, created, patented for the sole purpose of providing solutions that the Affordable Care Act provided, imposed to the middle class.
Okay.
And I thought, that's genius. So count me in.
Okay. So you're talking about legislation, and in today's day and age, there's always new things happening with healthcare, and it's so hard to navigate and understand. How does the most recent bill that passed affect you all?
Well, I never thought I would follow politics.
Maybe you want to explain a little bit about the most recent bill first, for those that
I never
might
thought
not
I would
be
follow
aware.
politics as much as I have been recently, but I do have a vested interest in both myself, my children's future, grandchildren, as well as the business that I'm in. The most recent bill, the big, beautiful bill that was just recently passed, really has the biggest glaring relevance it has to the Affordable Care Act, and that's germane to the small businesses and self-employed people, is that there's not a renewal and a continuation of the subsidy help that the Americans enjoyed for the last 6 years during the American Rescue Plan. Okay. And so there was a glaring omission that Congress elected not to renew and not to continue the subsidy assistance that's been going on for the past 4 to 5 years.
And what's your thoughts on that? Is that
I think Congress says, listen, that was designed to survive COVID. COVID's over. And let's get on with business.
Okay.
So that's their perspective. It was there for those tough COVID years we all experienced for that 2 or 3 year period of time.
So how does this affect, because we're Schaumburg Business Association, we have a lot of small business members, including us, because that's how we get our health insurance for our team here. How does that affect businesses? How is that going to affect businesses like ours?
Well, mainly it's going to pertain to self-employed and micro businesses, less than 3 or 4 employees. So how it does is, when the American Rescue Plan was passed in 2021, it's a $1.9 trillion bill. And when it was passed, a couple things, if you remember, that bill provided stimulus checks. Millions of people received a $1,200 check. That really adds up. They received PPP loans. Small businesses were able to get out there and get forgivable loans of $20,000 to $100,000. And then, namely, they received higher subsidies to offset the cost of their health insurance premium. So under normal conditions, it's predicated on poverty level. So poverty level is $12,000 a year. 4 times poverty level is $48,000. So an individual who makes more than $48,000 does not receive a subsidy. Couples who make more than 60 or above don't receive a subsidy, and families who are above 90 household don't receive a subsidy. In the past 5 years since the American Rescue Plan, they all received subsidies because the bar was lowered in order to qualify for those subsidies. Bar was lowered and the income was raised. So now a person during that period of time can make $80,000 and receive a subsidy. A family can make $130,000 and receive a subsidy. So those families have enjoyed great assistance to offset their health insurance premium since 2021, the American Rescue Plan. And so now it's all going away and it expires December 31st of this year. Yeah. So all those people are going to get the renewal notice.
And it's going to be a lot of money.
Right. For a family of 4, they may have paid $600, which is nothing for a family of 4. Now it's going to be $950. And so,
what about for families that are like myself, that may be a single mom with kids that make over that, but we have gotten nothing? So I guess it's going back to an equal playing field.
Yes. Yeah. So we have a couple of options.
All unaffordable.
We have a couple of options. We, my staff and I offer complimentary services. We're not fee brokers. If a person calls and needs help with Obamacare or have questions about medications, we can answer those questions. There's no fees or there's no charges. And if they have an appropriate fit, we can fit them into a portfolio of our patented trademarked health plans that we could fit them in and save them 30 to 40% of the Obamacare rates.
Okay, so you're talking about your patented options. Yep. So what options does, again, in a short way, so we're going to give your information. I'm sure everybody's chomping at the bit how to get in touch with you. But what are some of the options that U.S. Health Advisors, offers to people?
Yeah, we have traditional major medical plans. What people, especially women, want in the Chicago area is they want access to a bigger network of doctors
so
and
we
hospitals.
Go to who we want.
That's right. They want North Shore. I've noticed Northwestern, University of Chicago, Rush. The men are like, oh, whatever, I just want to watch a Bears game.
I don't even know, but not, I feel like, as much in this area because we've got so many
suburbs.
Options, Ascension, Dooley, Lutheran General. I mean, there's just so much.
Yeah.
But, we want the best, doctors.
And the women make the decisions for their kids, the pediatrician, their own doctors, their own physicians, and they make the decision most of the time. And closer to the city of the North Shore, they want Northwestern, North Shore, and those big. And so what we are offering is a vast PPO network.
Great.
People have second homes, they go on vacations, they want a network. They don't want to be confined to an HMO. They want a national PPO, and they want better rates. They want to run their business for their families, and they're trying to control that line item cost on their health care, which is really hurting a lot of businesses.
And they don't want to have to deal with referrals. I can tell you as a mom with little kids, they're on a different health insurance plan, but we have to get referrals every time they're seen versus just going to the doctor.
Yeah, you have to go to the doctor first, and he refers you.
Which is just, who has time for that?
Yeah. And a lot of times that's obviously a money-saving issue there. The doctor thinks he can handle that particular issue. If he can't, then he outsources it to, to another doctor.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when is the ideal time that companies in this area should think about exploring the costs in healthcare? What time of year is that?
Traditionally, open enrollment for the Affordable Care Act is November 1st to January 15th.
And it always seems to sneak up because fall is so busy. And then I know it's where I've worked at the last few years, it's always snuck up on us.
Yeah. Yeah. So what the big, beautiful bill has done, though, is they narrowed and closed the gap, even made it smaller for that open enrollment period. So this year, it's only 6 weeks. But it's not surprisingly, the big beautiful bill is trying to find the fraud within Medicare and Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act. For example, a person goes online and the question is, how much do you make? Well, it's difficult to ascertain if you're a realtor or a restaurant owner what you're going to make in 2026. It's hard. So a real estate agent goes, $45,000. So at the end of the year, she does pretty well, and she sells a few more houses. She makes $80,000. So the IRS get a letter saying, hey, you told us 45, you made 80, yet we give you $500 a month towards your health plan. Yeah. You owe us $6,000. How do you want to take care of this? And so people aren't ready for that letter, that IRS letter. And, hundreds of thousands have gotten them just in Illinois. But people sometimes inadvertently mistake their income. Sometimes they'll do it intentionally to get cheaper health care. Then the IRS catches, The other is a life event. For those people, you don't have to wait till November if you had a baby, if you moved out of state, you lost your group coverage, you got married, you got divorced. Those are the reasons that people can get on Obamacare year-round. Get divorced, you get Obamacare right away and get a plan. Sometimes people misrepresent their status. And so they're really focusing on fraud, and all these elements.
What about if you get laid off from your job and you have,
that's legitimate. That's legitimate, But they want proof now, and it's more complex. The labyrinth of application is a lot more complex, and they want more and more proof. You say you moved? Prove it. Oh, you say you lost your job? Prove it.
We all have to do that. Yeah.
In the past,
that makes sense.
They didn't ask that.
Okay.
Now they're asking these more stringent questions to offset the fraud.
So the ideal time of year when they should start researching. So back to that question, quick, is it before that 6-week
before that November 1st?
So now, again, who knows when people are going to be listening to this, but it should be summertime, possibly?
Yep. Usually the biggest peak time that we get our inquiries are kids are back to school.
Right.
And, the businesses.
A little less going on. Yes. Vacations are done. Let's see how
kids
we
are
can
back to
save
school
some
and
money.
mom starts doing the research.
Yeah. Got it.
So another big market of ours is, you're married and your husband goes out and gets a great job, comes home and says, look, my employee benefit package, it's only $300 for me as the employee, but to add you and the two kids, it's $1,000. So that's where we get the calls saying, and then doing a carve out and putting mom and the two kids on a private plan, dad stays on the employer plan. So.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. So where do you see the future of healthcare going? So the big, beautiful bill is now, but with the changing political environment, you just never know what tomorrow is going to bring. I know you've been in the industry for a long time. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I did. I got a phone call from my mom on the way here today. She says, no sex, religion, or politics.
You can't.
Yeah, that's right. So
no politics.
In terms of healthcare, the midterm elections could make a difference in how Obamacare is going to be handled. The current administration is not a big Obamacare fan, but there also is no other idea. In wake for an alternative. So Obamacare is going to be here for a while, and the midterm elections could affect how the premiums are handled and how the subsidies and the payments are handled to assist the consumer. But Obamacare is going to be here for a while.
Okay.
So, when I first started, in 2014, when the Affordable Care Act started, the government says that whether you have a plan or took our private plan, you still have to pay the fine. And so for non-participation in Obamacare, you had to pay a $600 fine. And so they took our plan and still had to pay. Okay. But we were saving them $300 to $400 to $500 a month, and people are like, okay, you're saving me $300, I'll pay the $600. Trump came in office the first term and eliminated that fine, that penalty. And so that allowed people to, with more freedom, approach other plans without paying the penalty or the fine.
Got it. So have we missed anything? Anything else that you'd like to touch base on the insurance landscape before we switch gears?
I think Obamacare is going to be here. About 49% of America is covered under employer plans, like you could be here.
Right. But I think we have less than 5 employees that are taking a part of the plan. So it is. Yeah, so it actually, if I'm correct, it is Obamacare, basically.
Yeah. So, and the others are covered under Medicare, Medicaid, or private plans. They're self-employed people running small businesses, they're family businesses, agriculture-related, trucking businesses, construction, that are trying to find their own health plans and trying to save money and trying to keep their business afloat.
Right.
So Obamacare is going to be here for a while, and we provide consulting answers at no cost. We can provide assistance for enrollment into the Affordable Care Act, as well to see if they can qualify for a private plan.
That's
and we
awesome.
do that in 30 states. So we have a PPO network in 30 states. Obviously, I'm focusing on the Schaumburg area, where I live, with great success so far.
That's great. So speaking of Schaumburg and speaking of the Schaumburg Business Association, how has being a member here helped your business? How has it helped you personally, professionally?
Well, on a personal note, I'm single, and when I came to Schaumburg, I loved being the youngest person in the bar most of the time, because it's an aging population
That
here
has
in Schaumburg.
changed, Tom.
It's an aging population here
Yeah.
in Schaumburg, and I noticed that the pioneers here, that were purchased a Martinelli home back in the 60s, are still here in Schaumburg, driving 20 and a 45 on Roselle Road.
Right.
And the cops are like, come on, somebody run a red light here. Give me some action here. There hasn't been a speeding ticket since Reagan's been in office here in Schaumburg. Everybody's going, this fast. So I like going to Chicago Prime Italian because I'm the youngest guy in there,
Yeah.
So, but first of all, I love the grassroots. I love that the pioneers don't leave. People come to Schaumburg, they stay here, but it all starts with the face and the leadership of this organization, because that's your first contact, your first impression with connecting with the community is this office. You and this office is fantastic.
Thank
They're really great. They're dedicated. They're smart. And I learned that Schaumburg is the third largest microeconomy in the state of Illinois.
Right.
I did not know that. And so that is a bigger draw, because you have the close-knit feel of people that have been here forever, families, and also the vibrancy of a big economy, third only to Chicago and Naperville.
Yeah.
And that's pretty powerful.
And I think we are the second largest chamber of commerce in the state of Illinois, next to Chicago.
Yeah.
And we're very proud of that. And in part because we have members like you and many others that are so giving to each other, as well as great business people that realize the power of networking.
Yep.
We're so happy to have you here. So, I know you've said a lot of things that our listeners are chomping at the bit and want to know how they could connect with you. Could you give them the information?
Sure. Tom Conner, Conner. I'm the principal of U.S. Health Advisors. My phone number is 847-687-7765. That's 847-687-7765. I'm also in the Schaumburg directory as well.
I was going to say that, which is right there on our table. So, we definitely encourage our viewers that are looking for health insurance to reach out to Tom and, check out our website at www.schaumburgbusiness.com. So this was fun, Tom. You did great, and I think we're right on time.
I skipped Joe Rogan for this. I'm glad I did.
I'm glad you did too.
Yeah.
So thank you for being here,
bet,
and
Andrea.
thank you to our listeners for joining us
You bet.
today
Thank you
on
very much.
Schaumburg Speaks.
You bet.
Stay connected.